Azaria Tagaya, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Education Ministry announces 11 new measures to enhance student safety and discipline in schools. And federal and Sabah governments developing new mechanism for determining future special grant allocations. Good morning. The Education Ministry has announced a slew of measures to enhance safety and address disciplinary issues in institutions under its purview. Among the 11 new safety measures are additional funds for CCTV monitoring and enhanced mental health screening for students. In a statement, the ministry said an additional 5 million ringgit has been earmarked for the installation of CCTV cameras in selected schools nationwide on top of the 3 million ringgit previously allocated. More than 10,000 new teachers, including more than 500 guidance and counselling teachers, will be placed in schools nationwide by November to enhance psychosocial support for students. A total of 600 full-time residential assistant wardens will be appointed from among MyStep personnel to improve the monitoring of student safety and reduce the workload of existing wardens. The ministry, in collaboration with the Health Ministry, will strengthen mental health screening programs from Year 1 to Form 6 to provide continuous intervention and psychosocial support. A child protection policy will also be finalized soon to better safeguard students within schools. Other measures include strengthened cooperation between the police and schools, enhanced smart support teams at education departments at various levels, and teacher training to improve preparedness for school emergencies. The ministry also plans to strengthen the role of principals, headmasters and school discipline committees with a revision of student discipline regulations. The rules and guidelines currently in force also cover caning, suspension and expulsion. Principals and headmasters are also given the authority to delegate authority to teachers to discipline students based on need. At the same time, the student character development system will be reviewed and improved for more proactive use in managing disciplinary issues, including response strategies. The ministry said it will also hold more regular dialogue and engagement sessions with students and teachers to better understand their needs and concerns under the Student Voice Box initiative, which aligns with the UNICEF recommendations to amplify children's voices and opinions in policy making. Now, relevant stakeholders have welcomed the Education Ministry's initiative to strengthen efforts in addressing student safety and discipline issues. The 11 additional measures introduced by the ministry are seen as a reflection of its commitment to tackle these issues in a comprehensive and systematic manner. Criminologist Dr. Hazrina Begum Abdul Hamid said the decision to station police officers in schools is a positive move, but cautioned that their presence must be made child-friendly.
Whether it's primary school or secondary school, because we're talking about schools, we do not want each schools to be looked at like a Henry Gurney school or a prison. Please do not do things like that. Even in Henry Gurney schools, you don't have police outside.
However, she urged the ministry to review the proposal to reintroduce caning, pointing out that there are more effective ways to instill discipline in children. The National Union of the Teaching Profession NUTP President Aminuddin Awang believes the Education School Discipline 1959 should be reviewed and updated promptly, as he considers them outdated.
Peraturan disiplin yang ada sekarang ini adalah peraturan yang sudah lama. Peraturan pelajaran ataupun disiplin tahun 19 sudah tidak relevan.
Meanwhile, National Parent Teacher Association Consultative Council PIBGN President Associate Professor Datuk Muhammad Ali Hassan said the installation of CCTV cameras is the right step towards enhancing the safety and well-being of the school community.
Pemasangan CCTV dipastikan mencukupi, berkualiti dan berfungsi. Manfaatkan sepenuhnya kewujudan CCTV. Harapan jika boleh semua sekolah atau asrama dan lain strategik dipasang CCTV.
The federal government will examine the Kota Kinabalu High Court ruling concerning Sabah's rights to its revenues before deciding on any further action. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said regardless of the outcome, his administration remains committed to fulfilling all obligations to Sabah as enshrined in the federal constitution. He added that federal spending for Sabah continues to increase, while efforts are also underway to develop a new mechanism for determining the state's special grant allocation. Earlier on Wednesday, Anwar delivered a special briefing to the Dewan Rakyat to explain the Madani government's commitment to Sabah's development. The Prime Minister pointed out that under the Madani government, Sabah's special grant has been reviewed twice so far, in 2023 and again this year. The 2023 review saw the grant doubled to 300 million ringgit, and this year the amount was once again doubled to 600 million ringgit, with payment completed on September 10th.
Tetapi keputusan ini adalah bersifat interim. Ini kenyataan yang kita buat bersama Kerajaan Sabah. Ia tidak muktamad, ia interim, sementara Kerajaan Persekutuan dengan Sabah sedang merumuskan kaedah baru yang menentukan perkiraan pemberian khas pada masa depan.
He added that the Madani government has taken note of the High Court's decision, which, among other things, directs Putrajaya to conduct a review with the Sabah state government under Article 112D of the Federal Constitution concerning the state's 40% revenue entitlement.
Kerajaan Madani menghormati proses perundangan dan akan meneliti alasan penghakiman Mahkamah Tinggi Kota Kinabalu. Setelah diterima kelak, belum diterima lagi. Sebelum sebarang tindakan lanjut dilaksanakan atas nasihat Peguam Negara demi kebaikan dan kepentingan Sabah dan Malaysia seluruhnya.
Taking into account Sabah's needs, Anwar said the Madani government continues to increase allocations for the state, which amount to 17 billion ringgit for this year and 2026.
Melebihi jumlah hasil yang dikutip di Sabah untuk tahun 2022, 2023, 2024 sekitar 10 bilion ringgit satu tahun. Hasil tersebut termasuk bayaran tunai hasil petroleum 5% serta cukai langsung dan tidak langsung lainnya. Ini bermakna Kerajaan Madani telah membelanjakan lebih daripada hasil keseluruhan pendapatan di Sabah.
Anwar added that the development allocation for Sabah next year will also reach 7 billion ringgit, the highest amount recorded compared to other states. He also cited major ongoing projects such as the Pan-Borneo Sabah Phase 1B Highway and the 1 billion ringgit Sabah Water Project, scheduled for completion next year. During the special briefing, Anwar also reaffirmed that the Madani government is committed to upholding the spirit of the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or MA63. This is reflected in the resolution of 13 claims submitted by the Sabah state government to date.
Bahawa Kerajaan Madani komited memenuhi segala obligasi kepada Sabah seperti mana yang termaktub dalam Perlembagaan Persekutuan. Tidak dapat dimungkiri bahawa setakat ini Kerajaan Madani telah mencapai kemajuan positif dalam menyelesaikan banyak isu berkaitan Perjanjian Malaysia 1963, MA 63.
Among the agreed claims are the transfer of regulatory authority over electricity supply and Sabah Electricity Sendirian Berhad SESB to the Sabah state government. The Madani government has also recognized the state's Public Works Department, Department of Irrigation and Drainage and Sabah Water Department as technical departments under Treasury Instruction 182. Additionally, an amendment to the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia Act 1995 has been approved to appoint representatives from the Sabah and Sarawak governments as permanent members of the IRB. Elsewhere, the Prime Minister emphasised that there is no such thing as a so-called stepchild treatment under the Madani government, as every allocation decision is based on the needs of the people and the objective of balanced development across the nation. Anwar said the government has demonstrated its commitment by increasing allocations for all opposition-led states. Anwar, who's also the finance minister, stressed that the issue of allocations to states, including those governed by the opposition, should not be used as political leverage.
Tetapi tidak wajar untuk beberapa negeri yang dikuasai oleh pembangkang di Semenanjung yang mengatakan kami dianak tiri, kami dizalimi, kerana kenyataannya berbeza. Apa yang kita lakukan dalam beberapa tahun Kerajaan Madani ini membuktikan peruntukan untuk Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah dan Perlis itu ditambah.
Anwar said this in his speech at the National Level Integrity, Governance and Anti-Corruption Awards held in Putrajaya. He added that the principle of fairness in the distribution of resources and state development serves as the foundation of his administration, which emphasizes integrity and good governance. The government will standardise compound fine rates for traffic summonses issued by the Road Transport Department and the police from January 1st next year under a new system that rewards early payment. The move aims to ensure more consistent enforcement of road traffic laws across both agencies. The Cabinet's decision follows findings that there were significant discrepancies in the way compounds and enforcement actions were imposed between the two bodies. A new fine payment system will also take effect, rewarding those who settle their fines early with lower rates. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said under the new structure, motorists who settle their fines within 1 to 15 days from the date of the notice will enjoy a 50% reduction. Those who pay within 31 to 60 days will be subject to the maximum compound rate, while those who fail to do so after 61 days will face court action and blacklisting. Before the new system comes into force, police are offering a 70% discount, while the Road Transport Department's 50% cut will also remain in place until the end of this year.
Dia memberikan kesan di mana pengguna kenderaan ini dia akan ambil peluang tunggulah. Kita bila polis buat tawaran kita bayar. Baik. Tapi kali ini kita streamline semua itu. Baik. Bila mula 1 Januari 2026.
Saifuddin added that between 2022 and 2025, the police, through various discount programs, collected some 640 million ringgit in traffic summonses. The royal bersanding ceremony of Selangor Raja Muda, Tengku Amir Shah Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah and Datin Paduka Sri Afza Fadini Abdul Aziz was held in grand splendour and steeped in tradition. The ceremony, held at the Balai Rong Seri, Istana Alam Shah, Klang on Wednesday, began at 7:30 p.m. with the arrival of the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah, and Tengku Pemaisuri of Selangor, Tengku Pemaisuri Nur Ashikin. The royal newlyweds, looking elegant and resplendent in matching cream royal attire, then entered the Balai Rong Seri, accompanied by members of the Selangor royal family. The Sultan of Selangor and Tengku Pemaisuri of Selangor then graciously officiated the blessing ceremony for the royal couple. The blessing ceremony was then continued by Tengku Amir Shah's mother, Puan Nurlisa Idris Abdullah, followed by the bride's parents. The historic ceremony was also attended by dignitaries and distinguished guests, including Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Syari. The ceremony then continued with the royal banquet held at the Balai Santapan Diraja. Prior to this, Tengku Amir Shah and Afza Fadini were solemnized on October 2nd in a private ceremony held at the Royal Palace Mosque within Istana Alam Shah. The 14-year-old boy charged with murdering his schoolmate in Bandar Utama last week has been ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. The application made by the Teenagers' Council under Section 342 of the Criminal Procedure Code was granted by the Petaling Jaya Magistrates Court on Wednesday. The proceedings on Wednesday morning were held behind closed doors as the case involved a minor. The teen was charged with the murder of a 16-year-old student at a secondary school girls' washroom between 9:20 a.m. and 9:35 a.m. on October 14th. The accused stood beside his parents and remained silent when the charge was read in Mandarin. No plea was recorded as murder cases fall under the High Court's jurisdiction. He was charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which carries the death sentence or imprisonment of between 30 and 40 years along with whipping. However, under Section 97, subsection 1 of the Child Act, those under the age of 18 cannot be sentenced to death. The magistrate granted the application for the boy to undergo psychiatric evaluation at Hospital Bahagia Ulu Quinta in Perak. Later, lawyer Kit Sen Fung, who appeared as amicus curiae or impartial advisor to the court for this case, told the media that, among other things, the psychiatric report must address the teen's fitness to plead, whether he is capable of entering a plea, and understanding the nature of the proceedings, and more importantly, his state of mind at the time of the commission of the offence. The court fixed November 21st for mention. A total of 1,966 employers have increased the salaries of 20,737 workers in line with guidelines under the Progressive Wage Policy or PWP. Deputy Economy Minister Datuk Hanifah Hajar Taib said a majority of the employers who affected the increases are from micro, small and medium enterprises.
Sebanyak 79.5% daripada majikan telah berdaftar dan menaikkan gaji adalah perusahaan mikro, kecil dan sederhana MPKS yang melibatkan 47.1% jumlah pekerja.
Hanifa added that as of Tuesday, 2,852 employers had applied to participate in the policy. She explained that the government had allocated 200 million ringgit to support the full implementation of the PWT this year, targeting the participation of 50,000 workers. Local technology companies are now actively participating in the global artificial intelligence boom by focusing their development on critical technologies that support data center infrastructure and advanced chips. According to CIMB Securities, Malaysia is no longer just an observer, but has become a key contributor to the global AI infrastructure supply chain. One example is Inari Amatron, which has expanded into the field of photonics, driven by strong demand from data centers. In another segment, Trucks Berhad is experiencing stronger demand for its inspection equipment, supported by more intensive AI testing requirements. Meanwhile, Temasek has shifted its focus towards the design of integrated AI systems on chips. Together, these initiatives reflect the expansion of Malaysia's semiconductor industry beyond traditional testing and assembly activities, in line with the objectives of the National Semiconductor Strategy. Uprooted tree crushes man to death. This and more after this breather.
Michelin innovates on the road and far beyond by developing an inflatable sail aimed at reducing CO2 emissions in maritime travel. Michelin, motion for life.
Deepawali Navatukal bagi penganut Hindu, semoga perayaan ini membawa kebahagiaan kepada anda. Pinktober bulan kesedaran kanser payudara. Bersama kami menyantuni pejuang kanser. Salah laku seks dalam kalangan remaja, adakah bahan pornografi di hujung jari? Lemon Law melengkapkan akta sedia ada, bantu lindungi pengguna hadapi isu kenderaan. Simpan untuk ganjaran, tuai hasil yang menguntungkan. Isnin hingga Jumaat 10 pagi, eksklusif di TV3 dan ditonton.
Bersama menginsafi diri menyambut Jumaat yang penuh barakah. Terjebak di alam barzah.
Bantulah hamba keluar dari sini.
Misteri doa malaikat.
Makasih Allah ya Rabb. Kau kabulkan doaku.
Sudah bisa melihat, Man?
Malaikat dengerin doa saya.
Slot Naluri setiap Jumaat 3 petang di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
3 perkara tentang kifarah. Darah, dosa dan syaitan. Kau kena check, guys.
Saya nak cerita pada Meremang. Hollywood punya feel, Hollywood bahasa Melayu. 9.5. Sinematografi bagus, lakonan mantap. Saya kat dalam tadi, curang, plot twist, seram. 8.5. Scene yang kat dalam kubur tu. Scary, kenangan, syirik. Korang semua jangan lupa saksikan filem Kifarah.
Serang ke pawagam masing-masing.
Bermula pada 9 Oktober ini.
Welcome back. A man was killed while a woman was injured in separate incidents in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday afternoon when both their cars were crushed by trees uprooted during a thunderstorm in the capital. In a statement, the Kuala Lumpur Fire and Rescue Department said it received multiple emergency calls between 4 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. regarding fallen trees following heavy rain and strong winds in several areas across the city. Among the affected locations were Kepong Baru, Taman Duta and Taman Bukit Maluri. At Pesiaran Duta Mas in Taman Duta, 2 vehicles were crushed by a tree, and a man in his 40s was confirmed dead by Health Ministry personnel at the scene. At Jalan Metro Prima in Kepong Baru, a woman in her 30s sustained injuries when an uprooted tree struck her vehicle. All incidents were swiftly brought under control, with clearing and tree cutting works carried out immediately to ensure public safety. The Selangor Customs Department foiled several attempts to smuggle various prohibited goods worth over 10 million ringgit in a series of raids since August. Among the commodities seized were cigars, LED display panels, rice and electronic cigarettes. Selangor Customs Director Muhammad Azhar Ahmad Paharazi said an inspection at the Westport Free Zone on August 1st uncovered a container filled with more than 8,700 kilograms of cigars. The shipment was valued at more than 262,000 ringgit, with duties and taxes amounting to about 5.8 million ringgit.
Catatan awal mendapati kontainer tersebut tiba di Pelabuhan Kelang pada 18 Julai 2025. Dagangan ini berasal dari sebuah negara di benua Asia.
In another operation on September 9th, officers seized another container with electronic cigarettes worth 1.32 million ringgit. Checks uncovered a stash of over 30,000 vape devices and a total of 900,000 millilitres of nicotine liquid. Other confiscated items included rice, valued at over 106,000 ringgit, and LED display panels valued at 2.52 million ringgit. In Johor, a couple's journey home after a birthday celebration ended in tragedy when both were killed in an accident in Kota Tinggi early Wednesday morning. The victims died after their car skidded and caught fire upon crashing into a tree in an oil palm plantation. The crash occurred around 4:30 a.m. along Jalan Tanjung Balau Sedili as the two were on their way home from Stulang, Johor Bahru. The impact trapped the driver, 21-year-old Muhammad Daniel Sabri, and 17-year-old Aiza Nur Elisha Sabri inside the vehicle. According to family members, Daniel left home at about 3 p.m. on Tuesday, saying he would return after a meal to celebrate his birthday and after sending Aiza home. They added that Daniel, who worked as an e-hailing driver, and Aiza had planned to get engaged next year. Daniel's remains were laid to rest at the Felda Bukit Aping Barat Muslim Cemetery, while Aiza Nur Elisha was buried at the Felda Air Tawar 4 Muslim Cemetery. Australian man charged with stealing labubus. The details when Nightline returns.
Wanita hari ini.
Kemeriahan Pesta Cahaya.
Istimewa dipawali bersama kami.
Kupang, lala, pepahat dan banyak lagi menu bercengkarang.
Kita boleh buat sambal, masak lemak dan juga buttermilk.
Kes perceraian semakin meningkat.
Mudahnya lafaz cerai, apa puncanya?
Demensia, antara sedih dan lupa.
Kesihatan emosi dan juga depresi warga emas yang perlu kita jaga.
Sesekali, apa salahnya puji pasangan?
Jangan sampai orang lain yang puji.
Semuanya di WCI TV3.
Dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Mengurai kisah penuh makna, mendekatkan jiwa pada Sang Pencipta. Dahsyatnya doa keluar rumah 9 Oktober. Dunia belum kiamat 16 Oktober.
Kenapa kamu lakukan ini, Wawan?
Syurga yang hilang 23 Oktober.
Maafkan Nesa.
Hati adalah cermin 30 Oktober.
Ini semua salah faham.
Slot Naluri setiap Khamis di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Jalan-jalan, cari makan.
Gendang-gendut tali kecapi. Cari kari, dapat hadiah lagi.
Memang puas hati.
Misi menangi kari dah bermula. Tak sabarnya nak menang.
Kari, kari, kari.
Nak tahu syarat-syarat penyertaan? Senang je. Pergi ke laman media sosial TV3 Malaysia untuk maklumat lanjut.
Sur, padu.
Dan saksikan Jalan-Jalan Cari Makan setiap Ahad 11.30 pagi di TV3 atau stream juga melalui Tonton untuk peluang menang hadiah. Kari penuh rasa, hadiah penuh gaya.
Oktober. O-nya untuk apa? O untuk orang yang tersayang.
Sayang, bawa saya jalan-jalan.
Saya appreciate apa yang awak buat. Tapi awak tak boleh pressure saya.
O untuk orang yang terpilih.
Ayah tetap tak benarkan kau jadi penyanyi.
Dosa you, dosa I.
Sejak bila you boleh jadi alim sangat ni?
O untuk, oh ya, jangan lupa cerita Ahad setiap Ahad di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
On to the foreign front. The United Nations' top court issued a legal opinion on Wednesday stating that Israel is obligated to work with UN agencies to facilitate humanitarian aid in Gaza. The International Court of Justice also said in its advisory opinion that the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has not violated impartiality.
The court further refers to its finding that the local population in the Gaza Strip has been inadequately supplied.
The UN General Assembly requested the opinion in December after Israel passed laws banning UNRWA, severely limiting its ability to deliver aid to Gaza. The non-binding advisory opinion highlights Israel's obligations in the occupied territories and is expected to increase pressure on it to cooperate with the UN and aid agencies. Earlier, Zionist forces killed at least one person in North Gaza's Tufa, adding to dozens more killed since the ceasefire took effect. The Zionist regime also continues to block entry of aid into Gaza, hindering humanitarian efforts in the war-ravaged enclave. According to UN UNRWA, Israel is still obstructing its deliveries, leaving the population without access to critical food supplies. Thailand's recently removed Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra resigned on Wednesday as leader of the party founded by her father, ex-Premier Thaksin, signalling the potential end of the family's decades-long political dynasty. The Pheu Thai party announced Paetongtarn's resignation in a statement, quoting her as saying the move would allow the party to, quote-unquote, undergo a complete overhaul. Paetongtarn, however, said she would stay in the party and continue working for the country. Her resignation follows petitions to dissolve Pheu Thai after her removal as Prime Minister in August over a controversial call with Cambodian leader Hun Sen. The move is also part of the party's preparations for the general election scheduled for March 2026. The Louvre Museum reopened to the public on Wednesday, 3 days after France's crown jewels valued at around $102.2 million was stolen from the famed Apollo Gallery in a spectacular burglary. The reopening comes as director Laurence Descartes prepares to face the French Senate later on Wednesday to explain how one of the world's most secure museums was robbed. The break-in, which lasted no more than 7 minutes, was carried out by 4 criminals who used a stolen freight elevator to reach the gallery's windows. The thieves made off with 8 priceless artifacts but dropped Empress Eugenie's crown, damaging it as they fled. So far, no suspects have been arrested. An Australian man has been charged for stealing dozens of Labubu dolls worth around $5,800. Victoria Police raided a property in Melbourne on Tuesday and seized 43 of the dolls, some of which were limited edition and worth up to $325 each. The collectibles were nabbed from a shopping centre during 4 separate robberies that have taken place since July. Officials said the 40-year-old man has since been charged with 4 counts of burglary and 2 counts of theft. He was released on bail and will appear before the Melbourne Magistrates Court in May next year. On to sports now. Badminton and the 2025 French Open. The national shuttlers kicked off their campaign on a strong note after booking their spots in the second round of the Super 750 tournament on Wednesday. Men's doubles pair Yap Roy King and Wan Arif Wan Junaidi battled past home pair Elua Adam and Leo Rossi in a hard-fought 21-19, 21-17 victory in the opening round. The world number 19 duo will face China's Ji Haonan and Zheng Wei Han in the next round. Earlier, world mixed doubles champions Cheng Tang-ji and Toh Yi-wei survived a scare from a lower-ranked Taiwanese pair before advancing to the second round. Despite losing the first set 16-21, fourth seeds Tang-ji and Yi-wei fought back to defeat world number 16 Yang Po-shun and Hu Lingfang 21-16, 21-12. They will next play Taiwan's Yi Hongwei and Nicole Gonzalez-Chan. Also advancing to the next round were mixed doubles pair Goh Sun-Huat and Shevan Lai, who rallied from a set down to beat Indonesia's Amri Shahnawi and Nita Violina Marwa 15-21, 21-17, 21-17. Scotland's Alexander Dunn and Julie McPherson await them in the second round.
Well, that is it from us. Before we leave, here's a look at Lisbon's night cemetery tours by torchlight, showcasing the architectural and historical heritage of the city's resting places. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.